What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I hope that you all are doing well. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing Twisted Hate by Huang. If you've never seen my face before, hi, my name is Mangi. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button to join the family, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload. And without any further ado, we are going to hop right into today's exciting video. So Twisted Hate is the third book in the Twisted series, which I think I posted a review on Twisted Games maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember. But Twisted Hate. I have beef with Miss Anna Huang. I'm serious. But I have beef because of this book. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Okay. Alright. So, right off the bat, I want to say that this book was a very good book. And the only book in the series that I felt was a little bit more realistic than the others. Not that it's impossible for somebody to be in the situation that those other two people were in, or even the last one, but I think this one was the most realistic one, in my opinion. And it was the only one that I was like, I can see that happening to like a random person that I just met. Okay, now it did take me a couple of days to finish this book, actually weeks to finish this book. It took me 17 days, so that's like 2.5 weeks. I started on September 16th and finished it on October 2nd, which was still some good time for me. I was like, I'm impressed with myself because I had gone from reading a book over a couple of months to reading books over less than a month, so that was cool. But I'm gonna get into it. Okay, so first of all, the main characters. The female lead is Jules Ambrose, and she is a law student, and we already met her in the other two books, so we kind of already know who she is, kind of know what she's about. But yeah, in this book we get to know a little bit more about her and the girl. And the guy, I meant, and the guy is actually somebody that we've also already met before. And yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anyone who's about to read the book, but I want to just talk about it, but it's fine. So she is somebody who is very fierce. She is very rambunctious and loud, in my opinion, and I love her. I love her for that. I love her energy. She is, in my opinion, the life of her group. She's absolutely the life of her group. Like, without her, there's no party. The party doesn't start until Jules comes along. Okay, when she walks into the room, the party begins. She's somebody who's very ambitious, and she is very determined to escape, not just escape, but to rise up above who she is or who she was and where she grew up. She's very, very determined to be like, yo, I'm leaving that in the past. I'm going to become a better person. I am going to be that girl. And she does a very good job at that. I'm so impressed with her. I love her enthusiasm. I love the way that she just takes on life. Yo, it's so wild. I was looking at her and thinking, goodness gracious, I want this girl's ambition and determination in life, because it's wonderful, absolutely beautiful. My lead is very confident. He is very successful as well. He's also quite ambitious and successful, and quite frankly very difficult for our female lead to ignore. He's not somebody that you can ignore, unfortunately. And I liked him more in this book than I did in the other two books. In the other two books, I was like, so in this book, I like it because we get to see a side of him that we aren't able to see in the other stories. And I was very thankful for that, because I was like, okay, cool, great, you're not who I thought you were, you're actually okay. And I like that. But anyway, she is a lawyer, or she just finished her law degree, and he's a doctor. So already two people with very busy, very demanding careers, and I can't imagine what they went through to get through varsity, because gosh, those are some of the more difficult courses that I know of. And they don't just meet in this book, they've already met long ago, and there's a lot of tension between them. They have a lot of history, they have a lot of issues with one another. Like, the one has issues with the other, and the other has issues with the other as well. Like, it's a whole thing, and I can't imagine being this girl's best friend and, you know, watching all this go down, like all the history that they have go down, and all of a sudden the switch up that happened in this book. I don't know how they would. I don't know how I would handle it. I'd be supportive, but I still don't know how I'd handle it, because it's kind of jarring. Their dynamic throughout the book is very, shall I say, tense. It's explosive. There's just so much that is going on between them. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, but it was good. It was good to read. It's very explosive. The one moment they're hot and cold with that. It's just they're hot and cold with one another. Like, today they're doing well, the next day they're just not doing well, and it was kind of crazy to me, how they treated each other. And I was like, this is the last. I never want to be in a relationship like this, like, ever, because I didn't enjoy it, honestly. And I enjoyed reading about it, but I couldn't imagine myself going through that. And something that I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely did not like was how, going into one of the chapters, it felt like, I think it was chapter 17. Let me double check. So it was going from chapter 17 into chapter 18. I truly felt like there's something missing here. It felt like we are missing a huge chunk of the story. It felt like it was so rushed, and perhaps it was done on purpose, because that is how it felt for me with their relationship. Like, very abruptly, they'd gone from being enemies to lovers, basically. It was very weird. It was so fast, it was so quick. It felt almost as if there's something that should have gone on there. Like, we're missing a chapter or two, maybe one from each of their POVs or something like that. I really, really, really felt like there was something missing. It felt so abrupt. It felt so abrupt to me. I was like, whiplash. I just got whiplash, but it was cool. Okay, it was good. I still gave it 4 stars, because it was still a good read. It's just that one thing that tripped me up, and for some reason I could never get over. I'm gonna move on from that and move on to their core conflict. These people misunderstand one another, especially in the beginning. Each of them saw the other a certain way, and because they never communicated, they each had, sorry about that, they each had very warped views of who the other is and what the other thought about them, right? And it was so annoying to me, because whenever I feel like whenever people are like these two, where they misunderstand each other, it could be solved with one simple conversation. Just one conversation could solve these things, or like being honest with one another. It could have saved them so much trouble. But I guess that's the whole thing. um I really felt like a lot of what happened was unnecessary. A lot of how they treated each other was very unnecessary. All these things that happened, I felt like, was very unnecessary. Which, unfortunately, this whole communication thing seems to be a theme in their relationship, because up until, I want to say, very close to the end, it felt like they were having falling outs over things that could have just been communicated. Someone else could have said, "Hey, listen, X, Y, and Z is about to happen," or "Trust me on something." It just, it felt to me like they were very immature in comparison to the other couples, which was sad to me, because I was really looking forward to this, because I was like, okay, a doctor and a lawyer, now that's something I can get behind. That's something that I feel could happen to absolutely anyone. I was excited for that, but then I read it and I was like, why you guys disappointed me, yeah? Hmm? Why you guys? So with their past misunderstandings, like I said, um, they kind of had fallen into, shall I say, a little bit of a routine, not a routine per se, but like there was this, okay, it's fine, we can coexist, you know. Then they got attracted to each other, and that complicated things a lot. It felt to me like it pushed them so close to the edge. And and I was like, I'm really, 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 really worried for these people, both individually and as a couple, right? It worried me. I was like, are they ever gonna be okay? Another thing that I noticed was that their relationship was really not moving forward. And this perhaps is why I felt like there was so much missing, because both of them were afraid to be vulnerable with one another, right? But they jumped to the physical aspect of their relationship so quickly. It was like, what? And yeah, no, I think I would send these people to couples counseling. This is the one couple that I feel I would send to couples counseling. The other three, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. But these two, I would send to couples counseling for real, because I don't know. It felt like, yeah, the foundation is weird here. You guys need help, okay? And I'm not saying that the other three couples in this series are perfect, but these two, I want to send them to couples counseling for real. I want to send them to couples counseling because I'm like, there's no way. I know you're lying. I know you're lying. And with their lack of vulnerability and their fear to be vulnerable with one another, of course, trust issues, which makes absolute sense. Again, this is why I say I'd send them in for counseling, because they have a lot of trust issues, which is very warranted, not gonna lie. Looking at their lives, I'm like, yes, I'd have trust issues too. I have trust issues, and my life was not even half as turbulent as yours. So it makes sense. It makes so much sense that they had trust issues and they didn't trust each other. They didn't know if they could trust one another. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, then that's okay. But I really felt like they jumped the gun. Like I said, can you guys tell that I was really bothered by how they jumped the gun, in my opinion? And I've read of a lot of people who do what they did, and know personally a lot of people who have done what they did, where their relationship, they explored their relationship physically before they became actual boyfriend and girlfriend. I've seen a lot of those, and it's never been this intense for me, where I feel like, oh, that's a big mistake. And with them, I feel like them jumping the gun like that was like a huge mistake, and I almost wish they didn't, but it's a part of the story. And I guess in the end, I look at it and I see the bigger picture, and I'm like, needed to happen this way. That's more interesting, right? I don't know why I'm judging book characters as if they were real people. I feel like every time I read these books, I'm like, if this was a real person, I would slap them. And these two, if they were real people, I would honestly, 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 honestly be like, y'all need help immediately. And with the others, I feel like if they were real people, I'd be like, that's a lot. You know, with the other two, with the first two and the third one, it a lot of what was going on was external. Like a lot of what was bothering them was external, and of course they let that come between them, and there was a lot. Okay, but these two, I was like, you guys are just hurting each other all the time. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but you guys are just constantly and consistently hurting one another. It's like the one moment they're happy, then you know the other shoe's about to drop. You know something else is going to go wrong. And yeah, no. If I had friends like these two, I'd either stop being friends with them or tell them y'all need to go to therapy immediately. So one of the things that happens is that there is something that happened in this girl's past that she's been hiding from everyone, and um when her past comes back to haunt her, instead of being, she's not honest with the guy, which makes sense because I think I'd also be a little wary to share about that if I'd been caught in the same situation. And yo, she does some things, goes behind this guy's back to try and solve the problem, which in my mind I'm like, okay, I understand, and maybe she's trying to protect the guy, maybe she's just trying to keep it sexy on the outside so the guy does not know. But I really felt like, yo, you could have just told him. But also looking at the way this guy is in the other books, I'm like, he probably would have ruined everything. He's not quite as morally gray as the other male lead characters in the other books. So with him, I'm just like, yeah, maybe it was for the best that she didn't tell him the truth in the beginning, because I feel like he would have ruined it. It was a lot. They were insufferable together. They were the most insufferable couple for me in this series. So the themes in this book include enemies to lovers. Of course, it's layered though. It's not just straightforward, oh, we didn't like each other and now we like each other. It's extremely layered. Anyway, do not skip this book when you're reading the series. If you don't have this book, just stop and wait until you get this book. Yeah, so one of the themes is enemies to lovers, but it is extremely layered to a point where I feel like, is it just enemies to lovers? Because at this point I'm like, there needs to be something else. There needs to be something else in between there where we kind of like use to bridge the gap between the two. And then there's also forgiveness, learning to forgive each other, learning to trust each other. So the other theme, the last theme, is identity. They struggled so much with their identity, which I felt was warranted, and also I felt like it was very realistic, because I think there's a lot of people in our age group, like 20s, early 30s, who are struggling with who they are, or who have at least struggled with who they are, or who they're supposed to be, or who they're meant to be. And with these two characters, they are going through the same thing where she does not want to identify with who she was back then and is fighting so hard to be this brand new person. And him, on the other hand, he is battling who he is and who he thinks he should be, right? And yeah, it's kind of a lot. And but I like it though. I like it because they each have their journeys independent of one another. I really just like it when couples are only focused on one another. Like there's like the whole story is just centered around their relationship. I really don't like that. So I like that with this book. I guess with the whole series, but this book especially, I like how we get to see her struggles and we get to see his struggles and how those affect the entire relationship. Was great. I like that, and I want to give Anna Huang her flowers because she's done a phenomenal job with this entire series. And I will be reviewing the next book in a couple of days, actually. Maybe it'll be posted next week. But yeah, it was very beautiful. It was very well written. I love their love story, and I loved how realistic it was. Like they're the one couple that I'm like, very realistic, very real. So the tropes that are in this book are enemies to lovers, like I already said, even though it was very layered. Something that I never imagined that I would see is the other trope, which is enemies with benefits. I cannot recall a single piece of media that I have either seen or read or listened to where I saw enemies with benefits ever. Friends with benefits, seen that a couple of times. Enemies with benefits? I was like, what's going on here? I really felt like, I don't know. I felt I was very weirded out. And perhaps that is why I was also complaining earlier about how abrupt it felt, because these people were enemies and all of a sudden we're exploring one another. How? So the other trope is forced proximity, which is absolutely the way that it is for these two people, because had it not been for this one human being that they both love, they probably would have never met, would have never crossed paths, or would have just never even had to interact. So her best friend is actually this guy's little sister. And she's the same girl that we read about in the first book, which is Twisted Love. So her name is Ava Chen. So forced proximity here. And I think it was a perfect setup. It was a perfect setup. And basically her becoming friends with the sister is what starts their whole misunderstanding, like from years ago, from years before even this book is set, basically. So we read about it and they're already in this position in the very first book. So their conflict in this book is not something new. It's something that's been going on and brewing for ages. Now, my favorite part of the video, the core message for this book. I like to do this a lot. I like to pull one or two things that I felt were very important, or lessons that I learned in a book, and this is this book's thing. This is this book's core message for me. Sometimes hate is love disguised. It's love dressed in armor. It's love hiding, love trying to protect itself. And sometimes the person with whom you feel you have the most conflict is actually the kind of person who's going to help you grow. And one of the funniest things that I remember is when I was watching The Help. You guys know the movie The Help. I actually have the book. I should read the book. But anyway, yeah, when I was watching The Help, the girl Skeeter, a guy comes over to, I keep forgetting their names, I'm sorry, but one of the guys comes over to her house to see her, and she tells her mother how much she does not like this guy. He says, Skeeter, love and hate are two horns on the same goat. And when she said that at the time, I thought it was funny, and then a little bit later on I was like, oh, hello, I feel like I know what she means. And reading this book, I was like, there we go. Yep, she was right. Because they feel that they dislike each other so much in the beginning, and ultimately it's what leads to them being lovers, and their relationship is very beautiful in the end. I'm not gonna lie, it's very beautiful. They are very vulnerable with each other in the end. They trust each other, and it's like a complete 180 from where they are in the beginning of the book, and that is really cool to see. And yeah, it's very good because they both grow so much, and I don't think I ever imagined any one of them growing the way that they did. And then they did, and I was like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. I am pleasantly surprised. I am so surprised and so happy with what happened and not how it happened, but I'm happy that at least in the end things were looking up and they were okay. It was very good. Anyway, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to come back next week when I'm reviewing Twisted Lies, which is the last book in the series, so we'll be done with it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to join the family. Hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter at _Swangila_. Add me on Snapchat at Swangila_M, and follow my Goodreads. Let's be friends on Goodreads. All my socials will be linked down below in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all so much, all the way to the moon, around the sun, and back again. Bye.